Welcome back to another video, and today we are setting up polymeters on the MC707. Now, a polymeter just means multiple elements in a song that appear to be counting to a different beat. And we are going to set up an element that counts in fours, an element that counts in threes, and an element that counts in fives. But before we get started, let's settle some terminology. So, a beat is the thing that you would be counting in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, those are beats. And in a polymeter, each beat is worth exactly the same length. Now, if you have a look down here at the MC707, we've got these 16 lights. And by convention, it doesn't have to be this way, but by convention, those 16 lights represent 4 beats. So each beat is worth 4 lights. So when we're counting in fours, we're going to need 16 of them. When we're counting in threes, we will need 12 lights. And when we're counting in fives, we will need 20 lights. Now, if you've not seen the MC707 before, each of these lights represents a memory slot into which we can put a drum beat or a synth note or a synth chord. And we've got 8 tracks, so we can have up to 8 elements. Now, all I've done here is start a fresh project, and when you do that, track 1 is a default drum track, and track 2 is a default synth sound. And we're going to leave that because we're going to set up a musical element later to give our polyrhythm some context. So we're going to set up the beat that counts in threes on track 3 and the beat that counts in fives on track 4. Let's get started. We're just going to use the default drum track, and when I'm counting in fours, I'm just going to do, very, very simple. How to do that? Well, select the drum beat that you want and then select the slot where you want that drum beat to play. So I want to play that on all of the beats, on all 4 beats. So that's 1, 5, 9 and 13. So that is beat 1, that is beat 2, that is beat 3, etc. Let's listen to that. And then I will put an emphasis on beat 2 and 4, which is, so I select the emphasis, which is my snare, and what was it? It was there. The beat counting in 4 is done. So let's go to the beat counting in threes. Now, when I select track 3, it asks me, what do I want it to be? Do I want a tone or a drum? I want a drum track, so I just select this knob, and I'm ready to go. Now, the first thing I want to do is change it so that I only have 12 lights rather than 16. There are a number of ways to do this, but the easiest way is just to put down a single random element. We'll take it out later. And then that changes the internal state of the MC707 so that when I hold Shift and press the left arrow key, I get this menu, and over here with knob C1, I can select my step length up and down, and I want to go down to 12. And there you can see I've got my 12 lights ready to go. So I'll delete that first element that I put in. Now for my 3, I'm just going to count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Something like this. So select the element to go on beat 1 and tell it you want that on beat 1. Select the element for beats 2 and 3 and say that you want it on beats 2 and 3. There we are. Simple. Okay, let's go for the 5. So I select track 4. I tell it that I want a drum track. I put in a random element just to change the internal state, and Shift and left arrow brings this up, and my step length this time is 20. Exit that menu, and I've got my 16 lights here, and if I scroll over with the right arrow key, there's my remaining 4. I'll just take out that element that I put in randomly. Now, you're going to discover that I'm not a drummer. For the 5 beat, all I'm going to do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my accents, my emphasis will be on beats 3 and 5. So something like this. Turn it up so you can hear it. And I'm using those sounds because I think you'll be able to hear them in the mix. So that goes on beats 1 and 2, 4 and 4. There they are, listen. And this sound goes on beat 3 and beat 5. So I'm going to let us have a listen to this. I'll bring up the 4 beat and keep it there because it's my dominant beat. And then I'll bring up 3 and then put 3 away, bring up 5, put 5 away, and then I'll bring them all up together and we can have a listen. Now, with an ounce of creativity, you'll be able to experiment with the drum machines that are built into the MC707 and put in more complicated rhythms, counting in 4s, 3s and 5s, or 6s or 7s or 8s or whatever you want to experiment with. And I think you'll get it sounding a lot better than I have. But let's just try and give it some musical context. So I'll go back to track 2. And all I'm going to do is program in a very, very simple pounding bass sound. To do that, it's slightly different from programming the drums. I select the light that I want, and then I press the note that I want. Now I want 2 bars of this. That's 1 bar done. So shift and the left arrow. My step length this time will be 16 times 2, which is 32. Exit that. Where's my extra 16 lights? Scroll over to the right, and there they are. And I want that to be F. So I've got C to F. Alright, let's go. Let's listen to our polyrhythm.